I could just find this damn thing, I could go home.
Life is a mystery. Just accept it.
In your own world, Cossetti.
Questions what matters. Not finding, looking. I read about it in this book.
Now, since when did you ever read a book?
I read this book. An excerpt of this book.
See, that's what I'm saying, man. You said you read a book, but you didn't read nothing but an excerpt.
It says that you never really find what you're looking for, because the whole point is looking for it. So if you find it, it defeats its own purpose.
This is Homicide, Life on the Street, which began in 1993, ran for 7 seasons, and culminated in a movie finale in 2000. Based on the real-life events chronicled in reporter David Simon's non-fiction novel Homicide, A Year on the Killing Streets, this groundbreaking show was filmed on location in Baltimore, the murder capital of the US. It centers around the homicide shift commanded by the enigmatic black Sicilian Al G. Giardello, and presents an uncompromising and painstakingly authentic vision of what it's really like to investigate death for a living.
Why did he do it? Gavin Robb is a very ordinary chemistry teacher. But at night, he drives around and he helps homeless people and kills teenagers. What's that about? I don't get it.
You don't have to get it. You sleep better if you don't know. Give me the where, the what, the when, the how, why. That's a thing we can live without.
This is not your average cop show, not by a long shot. Contrary to what most television would have you believe, the reality is that approximately 1/4 of all murders go unsolved every year, and justice is a fickle and elusive thing. Most murders are not particularly complex. Forensics hardly ever solve a case. Killers are more often morbidly stupid than they are evil genius masterminds, and car chases and gun battles are rare, since
Usually when we get here, they're cold already.
Homicide is a show that defied convention, and with its unbridled realism, became a critically acclaimed landmark of its genre, and one of the most influential, pioneering television programs ever made, and with good reason. This show is incredible. It is less about the crimes that are committed, and more about the way the crimes are investigated, and the type of person you have to be to handle such a draining, soul-destroying job.
And right now I want to tell you, I hate myself. I don't have any friends to speak of. All I have is this job. And it disgusts me.
Homicide is a truly remarkable show. Fearless, determined, and profoundly powerful. It is a massively atmospheric experience, utilizing handheld camera techniques to dazzling effect and creating a magnificently convincing air of realism, even as the show is punctuated by its highly unusual trademark editing techniques.
No honor guard. No honor guard. No honor guard.
This is a character-driven show, revolving predominantly around the detectives of which G's shift is comprised, but extending also to cover the deceased, the suspects in their murder, and the people they leave behind. As such, a huge part of Homicide is its use of dialogue, for which it has a talent that should not be underestimated. The writing is exceptional, and conversations, arguments, interrogations, and everything in between have the beautiful, unforced jive of natural interplay, which is of paramount importance in creating and maintaining that feeling of stark reality. It may be serious, esoteric, and eloquent, or it may be casual, mundane, and boorish. Regardless, the dialogue always has the crackle, or fizzle, of real life, and it is mind-blowing what Homicide was able to achieve through conversation. As a result, some of the show's most iconic scenes and episodes are not the large-scale extravaganzas, but rather the most singularly focused, introspective, and insightful pieces. Those which involve a bare minimum of individuals in a single location, having words. The sheer power of what Homicide could do with these situations defies explanation. It has to be seen to be believed.
What isn't a consideration anymore? They just keep killing each other. They should have to go out and roll a body and see what we see. Some kid, some woman, or that old man today. Huh? And what was he doing to deserve to get killed? He was trying to do a good thing. And he just dies on a dirty linoleum floor. There's no honor left in this world.
This is a very dark, gritty, and at times depressing show, and because it is so well made, it has the potential to be overwhelmingly emotional. I, personally, have never been moved so intensely by a TV show before. Watching Homicide, I felt deep sadness, as well as an all-consuming rage, hatred, and even sickening fear. I cried bitterly, but I also cried with laughter, and it would be wrong not to acknowledge the comedy, which is a fundamental coping mechanism for the cops in making it through the day-to-day grind of this ugly, thankless job.
I say, Holmes, shotgun, if I'm not mistaken, which might make it a murder.
Of course, there would be no emotional impact if it weren't for the greatest of Homicide's many, many strengths, the truly amazing cast. The characters are astoundingly complex, perfectly crafted and effortlessly portrayed with superb authenticity by what remains, to this day, the most fantastic ensemble ever brought together. Among the most notable cast highlights is Andre Braugher's Emmy-winning performance as the brilliant, righteous and egotistical Frank Pemberton.
You gotta know the darker, uglier sides of yourself. You gotta recognize them so they're not constantly sneaking up on you. You gotta love them because they're part of you. Because along with your virtues, they make you who you are. Virtue isn't virtue unless it slams up against vice. So consequently, your virtue is not real virtue until it's been tested.
However, the most phenomenal character I have ever had the pleasure to witness is Kyle Secor's sensitive and idealistic Tim Bayliss. Haunted and weighed down by self-denial and the suppression of his inner darkness, a thing which unfolds over the course of the show slowly and subtly, making it the finest piece of characterization ever to grace my TV screen. That said, as far as favourites are concerned, Bayliss is runner-up to the exuberant, charming and quietly vulnerable
Mike Kellerman.
Played by the wonderful Reed Diamond and introduced in Season 4, definitely the best thing to happen to the show since its beginning, which is no mean feat. Clark Johnson's savvy Meldrick Lewis is an underrated gem. Yaphet Kotto as G is a force to be reckoned with. Richard Belz's eccentric John Munch is hugely memorable, and Melissa Leo's tough-as-nails Kay Howard is so down-to-earth real you could forget that you're looking at an actor.
Johnson tells her you're sitting down there in the car, that you drove him over there and you're sitting down in the car and you won't do a hell about it and you don't! I'm sorry! You sit and listen to your own mother die!
The tremendous Michelle Forbes and Giancarlo Esposito are two more praiseworthy additions to the cast over the years, and there are still more cast members who deserve acknowledgement, but you get the idea. The dynamic of the original cast is absolutely pitch perfect, and for the first 5 seasons, new characters slip seamlessly into the show. Season 6 sees a handful of new characters join the cast who, for the first time, lack the craftsmanship, roundedness and authentic feel of those who came before them, and with the introduction of 2 more similarly underdeveloped characters, combined with the loss of 2 excellent ones coming into the final season, Season 7, the show does suffer a sudden and precipitous decline in quality. This last season is still great TV, but compared to the astonishing masterpiece that was Homicide: Life on the Street Seasons 1 to 6, 7 is a bit of a dud. The Homicide movie picks things back up to end on a high note though, and a little stumble toward the end of the series is certainly not enough to keep me from giving Homicide an emphatic 10 out of 10, and it bears acknowledging that though I hand out 10 out of 10s to all my top favourite shows, Homicide is a revelation, by far and away the best that I could ever imagine seeing, and beside it, all else pales.
Doesn't seem fair, does it?
No, it doesn't. But who am I to say? I mean, I'm not God. I mean, we could go about seeking revenge, and if we're smart, we're not ever gonna get caught. But that makes us like terrorists, making up our own rules. What's the difference?